I'm Random Tuesday, and I am going to talk you through my N7 FemShep armor that I made for PAX last year. In the video, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how the whole thing goes together, because that was one of the things that confused me the most when I was making it, as well as give you a couple of pieces of information about how I constructed it. You can jump down to timestamps for specific parts of the costume if you're interested in them. And then on my blog, you can also find final pictures of the cosplay, specific information on how I made the chest plate, and just general resources to other information about how to construct N7 armor, because it's a process. So to start with, the base layer of my cosplay was a pair of running leggings, super snazzy, and a running long sleeve shirt. This one had thumb holes that helps keep the sleeves down because you also have gloves. And then I did the zip-on kind because this goes with, or zip-up kind, because this goes with the style that is that looks to be underneath the armor. I did this for a couple of reasons. One, lack of time and resources to make the printed version of it. I also like to be able to go to the bathroom, and having two pieces instead of a unitard is a lot easier to take off. So once I have the undersuit on, then I have the two pieces that go for my torso, for the front and the back. So this is the front that I made, and it is actually in two pieces for the front. There is a belly plate and the chest plate. This is technical terms. Everything was constructed using a 1/4 inch EVA foam, so a little bit of 1/2 inch EVA foam and some thinner craft foam, but the bulk of it is that 1/4 inch stuff that has this diamond, or not the diamond, this crosshatch texture on it on one side. So like you can see here where where it's smooth on the outside, it's crosshatched on the inside. So whenever you want it smooth, you use one side and vice versa. And that's the cheating way, or the easier way of getting the texture. I split the torso and the chest plate along the side seam. This is actually a line that you can find that's on the reference images or on the actual N7 armor, so why not use it if it's there, because I have to be able to get in and out of it somehow. The two pieces are stuck together with just little bits of elastic that you can see right here. Having them as two separate pieces means that I can move around a little bit, and it's not impossible to do things like bending over. Still pretty hard. These straps will become clearer in a second when I show you how I assemble them all together, in the front and back as well. The last thing is this little bit, the N7 logo is just done with the thinner craft foam. This part is a couple of layers of the thinner craft foam. And you can find on my blog, and there's a link below, information more specifically on how I constructed this part of the chest plate. This here is the back plate. It's a similar idea. It is made in two pieces, and then the two pieces are stuck together using little tabs of elastic. The back plate has my beautiful lighting, which were pretty simple to do. I just found a string of LEDs on the internet. I went with white because that's what matches my armor that I have in game. And then I literally poked holes through the back piece and then shoved the lights through. And the lights happened to be about this thick. And then I duct taped down the entire mess and the battery pack. So I have to undo the duct tape in order to change the batteries, but I wore this all day at a convention and it didn't run out. So hopefully I'll get one more con out of it. This top section here, I used the 1/2 inch EVA foam instead of the 1/4 inch. These detailings here were done using the thinner craft foam. Like these little bits here are just strips of the thinner foam. A lot of this sort of detailing I did using a Dremel, just to get those lines in there in that shape. I think that covers it. Oh, and then this is one piece that connects into this back section, and then these three parts are glued on separately afterwards. And this was the 1/4 inch foam, and then these guys are that 2 layers of that 1/2 inch foam. So that is the chest plate. Now we've covered the torso. The next section to talk about is the legs. So I ended up constructing what I fondly like to refer to as space banks. So let me talk through each of the pieces. But this is essentially the whole top section of my legs. I call them space banks because I ended up making, what you can see this black section underneath, is a pair of Lycra high-waisted shorts that I sewed. Basically hot pants where the waist comes up to about here-ish, so just above the hip bone. The reason I did that is it allowed me to get a very nice close-fitting space butt section, as well as assemble it all in one piece so that I can go to the bathroom and just take all of this off, which is pretty great. So the two main sections that we have are these side thigh pieces, which were also constructed into two pieces. This middle section here is just some black fabric that I stitched the lines on to give it that kind of piped texture look. So these are all one section that gets assembled together. And then they got glued to the space banks. A lot of this was done, I just put them on and then stuck them in place. You can see there's the side strapping here that I put on. And then there's the back section, which is the butt section. And there's just two pieces. So those black bits are actually just from the reference images. So that's kind of what the armor looks like anyway. So basically I put it on after I had these pieces molded and then just stuck them into place so that they're nice and close, how they fit. There's still plenty of stretch left in these guys. Similar idea to how I got these little front top sections. So basically anything where there was a black outline on them, I was just like, oh, that's my shorts. To hide this top seam, a lot of this gets hidden underneath the belly plate and the lumbar plate on the torso. And then the sides are hidden under the top bits of the N7 belt. There is the front of the belt section, because this goes over the belly plate. I have it a separate piece that velcros on. Similarly, the back piece, it's partially attached just to make it easier to do, but this is also not glued down onto the top of it. And again, these ones were just done by gluing them onto myself while I was wearing it. And then these top sections here to get these guys to lie flat are just glued here to the shorts. So there's the strapping that hold them to my hips. These little medallions are that thin craft foam that I painted to give it kind of that rounded texture. Most of this is done with a 1/4 inch foam and a couple bits of the thinner foam, same up here. And that pretty much sums up how I constructed space banks. The final section to my armor is the arms, and there's 3 main pieces to these guys. There's the forearm, the bicep, and then the shoulder section. The shoulder section, there's a good tutorial link that describes kind of how these are constructed, but there are 2 pieces here. Everything is then stuck together with this strap that runs all the way down to here. This section is the second section, and another video tutorial that I'll have a link to is how I did these. So this elbow piece is just hot glued to a piece of elastic that runs between the forearm and the bicep. And then the forearm piece, these lines were dremeled in and then painted to get the detailing in. This gap and this piece of elastic were taken from the model images, and all of this was just using some occasional bits of thinner foam, but mostly just that 1/4 inch EVA foam. And then this tab is the tab that sticks it to the shoulders. The last piece of them are the gloves, which are just a pair of plain black cotton gloves that I found online, and then literally just stuck pieces of foam that had been mostly dremeled and cut into shape. The last thing I added was just a little finger hole so that I can still use my cell phone while wearing these gloves. So there's still a little gap that you can see, but it makes my life a whole lot easier at the convention. Now, it is assembly time. Let's put this whole thing together. So, once you thread the straps through, they're glued on this side to the front of the chest plate, and then the back has adjustable buckles, or not buckles, but slides, so I can tighten it or loosen it. Realistically, you can't really do that while you're wearing it, but it is useful for getting a closer fit. So those two straps, two pieces. And then we unceremoniously shove this over our head. And the Velcro likes to stick to other Velcro that is on this thing. So to get a nice close fit of this chest plate to myself, there are two separate straps that are glued to the front of the chest plate. And these are completely separate to the back. One side's done with elastic, and then the other side's just some nylon. And they have Velcro on them. So then I just pull this across and Velcro them into place. And do that with the bottom one as well. So you should be able to see they're Velcroed. I did elastic on one side so I can breathe without them completely popping, so they have a little bit of give. The next part is sticking the front and the back together, because this is super loose. So right here you can see, if we get closer, there's a strip here. This, you can hear it, is a Velcro, and I've got another one on the other side. And these line up to the inside here that has some Velcro. This part can be handy to get a friend for, but you just have to line them up and stick them down. Not the best I've done, but close enough. And the last thing is there are two little elastic tabs here, and there's two pieces of Velcro that you can't see right now because it is under here. And we stick them underneath and put them in place. These pieces are on elastic, and that keeps this collar in nice and tight in the right place. The last thing that we'll do, which we don't do until the end, is I've got two little tabs here, one in the front and one in the back, and then you unceremoniously put them under your crotch. But that means I can't do the legs and stuff when those are done. That is how you assemble the torso. Okay, the next section we put on is our space banks, as I have already walked you through how to do these. Our two sections, they literally, because of how they are made, go on as one piece. And then there are two sets on the bottom. There are two sets of straps. Those just go around and under your leg. Once those are done, these sections will stay in, and then you can do the under tab. Again, with the under tab, I also did one side elastic and one side nylon, just to give it some flex so you can see how tightly these guys fit. Then this tab goes across the back and matches up with its partner, which is somewhere. And there's a front section which just has two little bits of Velcro, and that goes over the top. So now we have legs and torso. The boots were pretty simple. I'm not going to put those on because you won't be able to see them, but I will show you. They're literally just built onto a boot. There's a back tab right here to make this section tighter, and this is sort of another piece that's from the actual armor idea. And then there's a slot here so that they zip closed. All of this stuff is just glued straight onto the boot, so you don't need to do anything about it. And then you just slip them on, and they're good to go. Again, walked through how these were constructed. Both arms are identical, so I'm only going to show you the one. I'm going to show you lefty, but this is righty. It's a lot easier to put on lefty than righty because I'm right-handed. The three sections are all already assembled. You get your whole arm through. There's a little tab here with some Velcro just to make it easier to get your wrist in, because this is pretty cozy. Slide it on up. Redo the Velcro section here when you get a chance. Normally you're going to want to wait until you got the glove on to do that Velcro. There is a split here. These guys are put together with elastic, so I left the seam unfinished. Same here and here. The little bit of elastic just means I can flex my arm, like be nice and macho, and not run into it. This tab here feeds underneath. On the inside of the collar there's a little bit of Velcro there as well that this section sticks to. So that is how the arms go on. And then right arm is identical. And then the last piece is the gloves. And they are all pre-assembled like I showed you before. And I try and normally get those on before you do the Velcro. But that is pretty much